So our next speaker is Frank Strohmaier, and I'm very happy to welcome our first international speaker in this track. He works for BASF in Frankfurt, Germany. BASF is the largest chemical producer in the world, and Frank is there, a director of data science and artificial intelligence. Michael Probst from SAP is solution advisor for data management and machine learning, and will also answer some questions related to the Swiss ecosystem. The title of the talk is Agile Data Orchestration and Machine Learning Integration at BASF. And in the talk, Frank will explain how BASF uses their Agile data science environment to easily embrace new data science techniques and leverage data science skill sets to quickly respond to changing business needs. BASF decided to work with SAP on specific machine learning use cases and their operationalization. Frank, you are on.
Good morning.
Good morning. We hear you well.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you very much. Thank you for the nice introduction. My name is Frank Strohmaier. I'm working for BASF, and as you said in the introduction, I'm their director for a team which takes care about data science and artificial intelligence. And today, I would like to talk about the way how we do integration of our machine learning models, and I will run you there through an example which gives you, I hope, a very good understanding how we are doing that. So first, I would talk a little bit about BASF to give you more background and that you understand why this topic of the machine learning model integration and the scalability of machine learning models is very important for us at BASF. And then I go deeply in one of the use cases we had and explain you then how we have realized that. So looking at BASF, and it was already said at the introduction, is the largest chemical company in the world. We are at 6 different so-called Verbund sites and 361 production sites. We have more than 100,000 customers throughout the whole world. And our sales was in the last year around about 60 billion euro. So that already gives you that we are quite a huge company and quite diverse, and we have a lot of different customers. And we are structured in a segment organization, which also gives you then the variety of products we are producing at BASF. So we have here is there you could see the 6 different segments of BASF where we are supporting with different products, which we are focusing on the classical chemical world with petrochemicals and intermediates. We are also in the materials segment with performance materials or monomers. We have some special industrial solutions about dispersions, pigments, performance chemicals. But we are also in the nutrition and care, surface technology, and agricultural solutions. So you could see total different portfolio, great variety, different customers, different expectations from BASF, what they have against our products, and also different way how we work together with our customers. So classical business to business orientation, but also on the other side, we also have end customer business. And why is this so important? It is because of my example, which I want to do. This is in the area of product recommendation. So what we wanted to do in BASF when we started with our team was one of the first questions we got, can you do something like Amazon is doing? And every one of you know when you go, for example, to an Amazon webpage, you always get product recommendations. So you have bought this, and other customers have also already, because of their buying behavior, bought this. And this idea, we also had to do that for BASF, and we were thinking, can this work for BASF? And when you have now seen all our different segments, this was quite a challenging task for us, and we wanted to solve this. And what is also very important for us at BASF is that we have a very long relationship to our customers. So instead of like Amazon, where you just put a lot of recommendations on your page and percentage of these will really go well. In our case, it was very important that these recommendations are all very good explainable, and that you could also give our customer, let's say, the trust that what we do here in recommendation is not something which is validating our relationship to the customer. Okay, so before I go into the example, when we look at the normal machine learning life cycle, what you normally do when you have such a project or a question like, hey, can you do product recommendations for BASF for all our products? What you do is you try to understand a little bit more of the problem and what is really the requirement behind. You look then in the area of data preparation, you look there where you get the needed data from. You explore a little bit on the data, you try to find and understand the data more, and then you also start developing your first model. And you are trying there to see if the model is successful. And it's all these steps are happening in a very iterative process. And together then with your business partner, you are working then out, okay, this is now something like a result at the end, which gives you some very good recommendation for this business, what they are responsible for one of the segments. And you already also know, okay, this is now the right model, and you have tuned it, you have done the hyperparameter training and whatever, and all these steps. And then also at the end, what is very important, how you transfer the result to your partner, how he could use the results of a model. Some of your partners maybe just want to have a working list. Others want to have the recommendations in a dashboard where they can regularly look into it, or others want to have it as a mobile app. So this is also then quite different, and that was also what happened in our case. So when we then, having this life cycle in mind and looking at the challenge what we have, this was the product recommendation for all the business partners of the different segments. And we saw then, oh, there is a great variety here in between the different data we need. Some companies, some business units, they were more using, well, it's better to use the sales and marketing data. In other business units or let's say segments, it was better to use controlling data. Also, when we then were running the different models and methods, we saw, oh, this is also different from unit to unit. And because of all the requirements, how data and usage and model need to work together, there was then a great variety. So we could not come up with one solution for everyone. We had to have a combination of a lot of different possibilities for all these different segments, or even lower for all the different business units. And confronted then with this challenge, we were trying then to say, okay, can we maybe on one side, only from a model perspective, being there a little bit more aligned. So, okay, we have different need of data, we have different usage at the end, but can we do something about the modeling part? And we saw there that at the end, for all these product recommendations to build up there in BASF, we were having quite a lot of different models which we used. And when you look at the different models, they all have their advantages and disadvantages. And that means that when you have then the target at the end, you want to use something which runs on the cell phone, this is also influencing which model you use. Or your partner wants to have it very good explainable, what are the recommendations, then you maybe not go for the this GPT model, then you go maybe for one which is easier than to explain. And when you want to have something on a cell phone, you need a model which runs fast. And so at the end, it's a trade-off what you need to find between what is your situation, you want to do the product recommendations, what is the usage, what is the data, and now which model is the right one, and then you need to bring everything together, and then you need to build something for a solution. And what we did at the beginning was that for each of these different steps, we were then trying to find a solution, and then you could see like here, we are using a lot of different technologies to just fulfill now one of the requirements you have seen before. So one data source, one model which is the right one, and one kind of usage, which at this case were then some dashboards. And we have then here quite a lot of different technologies which we had to use and process through the whole, let's say, flow of data to the whole machine life cycle. But when you do it like that, then you could fulfill easily one of the challenges you have doing product recommendation now for the segment of chemicals, but how you want to scale this. Because in another area, this will not work again. As I explained before, you have to use another model, or the outage is something else. And then you need to consider the advantages and disadvantages of the different methods which you are using. So what we did then there was that we were together with SAP looking at a solution there. And what we did is using, and let's say also in the co-creation, developing together the SAP data intelligence tool, which we used. And this tool provided us then a possibility to set up a pipeline which exists of different, let's say, boxes, which all represent a Docker-based functionality. And with that possibility, you have a central place now to orchestrate the whole machine learning model life-cycling process. And you could easily monitor it, orchestrate it, and build it in a way that you could reuse it. Because what you see now here is then here all the different flow for which the data needs to go to come up with a result. And when you are built up in such a way now, the solution, let's say for the chemical area, and you see that your model which you have built is then done, let's say you use R part and you do it with R, but this is not possible for another segment. What we are now doing is just replacing, so keeping the same data pipeline, just replacing then one of these boxes then with the new model and not re-implementing the whole workflow again. So what we have done, and this is a very good learning, I would say, we are able now to use the best model, what we want to have, to use and build it in the language which is the right one, which fulfills the whole requirement, but do it in a way that we don't need to program again and again everything from scratch, reuse what we have done for someone else already in BASF in product recommendation, and just substitute it by these parts which are now new and which are specific for the other segment. And by doing that, we have now, instead of this very complex flow, what you have seen before, with a lot of different technologies where you need to always to maintain everything, we have now built the 6, let's say, pipelines for all of the segments, which are, let's say, existing and have overlaps between each other, because we could easily reuse some of the models, the model for chemicals to the model of surface technologies, but then the outage there is always, let's say, or the usage is different, and this gives us a lot of flexibility and possibility to handle the machine learning model life cycle, to build up something which is sustainable and easily to scale when you have such a variety of different segments in a company. So that's all from my side for today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Frank. I have some general questions about the data science efforts and ecosystem within the company. So maybe the first one, how much does it typically take for an idea to the actual deployment of the solution in production?
I mean, that's always depending on the different topics. We are taking care about a lot of topics, but when you look at our example here now, when we build a product recommendation from the beginning, let's say 2 to 3 months to build up the recommendation for one of these segments in BASF. Now, with having set it up in such a more pipeline orientation with a lot of flexibility and modular approach, we could reuse a lot of things anymore and don't need to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And therefore, we are now much faster. So I could say we could do it to 4 weeks.
How big are your data teams within the company? Like data engineers, data scientists? Do you mostly have internal staff or work with SAP or other external providers?
So overall, our say data science team, there are different data science teams. Some are focusing on production, some are focusing on research and development, and let's say looking at the ones who are working in the area of business. It's a data science team, which is around about 60 internal people, so 60 internal people. But we are also working with externals. And this is also then a challenge when you have, let's say, working with a lot of different partners together, or even with your internal colleagues. We said we don't want to decide on one technology. We want to give them the possibility when they want to use Python, they should use Python. When they want to use R, then R or whatever. But from the solution, it was then important to go with a modular approach that what I'm showing here on the slide now using R could easily replace by a model programmed in Python without touching the whole life cycle of the machine learning model or the whole solution, and just replace the model part in a flexible way. I think that's very important when you are working with externals together, or you have a huge team where you have a lot of different capabilities.
Thank you. I got a question now also from the stream. What is your experience with UI-based solutions like yours from SAP and code-based like in Bash? So I think, like how much is it ready made and put together versus, I guess, custom built?
Okay, in this case, what we have used here was Tableau, as you could see on the slide, for visualization. So we are using data intelligence for managing the data pipeline, but we have not used so much any of the visualization tools from SAP in our solutions. We are doing also user coding or our own coding for some presentations or visualization whenever there is an interaction back with the model. For example, you are providing feedback, you want to, let's say, change a little bit of the parameterization, then we are develop our own UI, and there we are using SAP UI5, or we are using ASP.NET and other technologies.
Thank you. I have even one more question about the similar topic. Why didn't you use SAP Business Objects or Lumira instead of Tableau?
Because we are using Tableau already in our company in a broad way, so the end users were used to this.
That makes total sense. Is any upcoming project that you are very excited about and you wanted to tell us about it?
I mean, we are now very heavily looking in, let's say, putting in more and more SAP data intelligence pipelines, especially for efficiency gain. That means substituting manual work in the SAP backend systems by machine learning models. That's where I'm currently very, let's say, interested in. But also in the area of prediction, we are doing the prediction of the P&L main KPIs of BASF. And that's something where we already have quite a lot of success. And we are very proud that we have won there the Controllers Award with our solution there. And that's something where we definitely want to strengthen and further use, or let's say scale in BASF.
Thank you for your answers, Frank, and thank you for joining. Hope to see you again at the SDS.